Guys, I have got a killer rhythm / lead guitar lesson for you, and this is all 80s metal here. And when I say 80s metal, I'm not even talking about hair bands. I'm talking about the hard rock and classic heavy metal sounds that come from bands like Iron Maiden. And we're gonna cover a technique that really I don't think has a name, but I'll tell you more about it. And actually, I'm gonna get Gunnar to play this lick for you, and as soon as he plays this, you're gonna know exactly what song this sounds like. So hey Gunnar, man, kick it off when you're ready. So right away you're thinking, okay, that sounds very similar to Wasted Years, and that's what we're going to call this technique. We're going to call it the cool Wasted Years technique. All this is, and I'm going to break this down for you because I want you to learn this riff. I'm also going to show you some ways, more importantly, on how to expand on this little riff here. What we're doing though, the technique itself, okay, is playing the fretted notes, but in between those notes, throwing in that open alternate picked string, okay? That's kind of the culprit of the Wasted Years little riff / lick there. Real quick, for my Patreon supporters, you guys have the tabs and the backing tracks for this lesson that we're about to go through here, so make sure you grab those. If you're not a Patreon supporter, you'd like to become one, I have one very simple tier level, super inexpensive. Sign up for that. There's a link in the description of this video for that. All right, I'm gonna have Gunnar play this without the background music this time, and then I'm going to break everything down piece by piece for you. Now for starters, we're going to be on the G string throughout most of this little riff / lick here. And we're gonna start simple, guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you the first few notes that we're playing. I'm gonna call out the frets there. And of course we got the open string in between some of those frets. So let me play the first part that I wanna share with you first, okay? Okay, pretty simple. And the only frets that we're playing, this is how I like to break it down and just simplify everything. We're only playing, again, on the G string, frets 7, 5, 8, and 7. That's it, okay? Of course, we've got the open string, so technically that's 4 notes, but that's it. And I like to start out like that because, you know, then it doesn't seem like the riff is so complicated if you're new to playing this style here. Because then, again, going through those notes with that open string in the middle can be a little difficult. So how we're gonna overcome that, if that's a challenge, is we're just gonna play those notes, those fretted notes first. So let's play those together now. Very simple, okay? Nothing to that at all. What we just did though is we kind of just ingrained those notes into our heads, right? And they're there now, so we know where those fingers are supposed to go. All we have to do now is integrate that open string, the open G string, with the alternate picking. This can be a little challenging, and the only thing I can tell you is just to practice and practice and then practice some more. So how we're going to do this is we're going to start out very simple with just a couple of notes here, okay? Check this out. Real simple. And again, I'm kind of doing this part. We'll kind of speed up through the rest of the lesson here, but I'm kind of slowing this part down just for you folks that haven't played this style, or if you're new to playing these types of rhythms, or what we're calling rhythms slash leads or slash licks here. I want to just kind of break things down in a simple pattern for you, because when you bite it off in small pieces, so to speak, it's like eating a big juicy steak. You don't want to stick the whole steak in your mouth at one time. That's going to be kind of difficult to eat, right? You cut it up into small pieces and eat it that way because you just enjoy it more, right? And I don't know, it's probably a bad analogy, but I think you guys get what I'm talking about here. I had a really good steak last night, by the way. So again, we're just going from that 7th fret to the open string alternate picked a few times there to that 5th fret, okay? So now that we've done that, we can add in the other pieces here. Now, you may want to use your pinky. You'll see my fingers on the fretboard here. So again, 7, 5, 8, 7. You might want to use that pinky. What I'll tell you is that there's no right or wrong way to do that. I like to use my 3rd finger for this particular type of riff. It's just easier for me that way. For other licks, I'll use my pinky. Again, there's no right or wrong way. There's only the way that feels most natural to you, okay? So always go with your intuition when it comes to that. We all have different size hands and fingers and blah, blah, blah. And I get a bit frustrated sometimes when guitar players will say, well, you've got to play it like this. No, you don't. You play however you want to play, because again, when we go through this lesson, I'm going to show you some ways that you can make this your own, and that's really going to be the most important part of the lesson, so hang around for that. All right, now once we do that piece, the other little part is pretty simple. We're only going to be on frets 3 and 5. We'll go 3, 5, 3. Now we're alternate picking that G string before that between those two little patterns there. So let me play this all the way through for you, just this first half here, okay? Okay, again, pretty simple here. Here's our notes. That was the first part that I showed you. Next part. And remember, we've just got that alternate picking between. So let me slow this down for you again, okay? Now, I will apologize for using multiple fingers. You probably saw me like using my middle finger some, my first finger. These are things, I've been playing since, 1989, eons ago. I'm an old dude, but these are things I really just don't think about. Sometimes it's more comfortable for me to play with certain fingers throughout the riff, throughout the pattern. So I just don't, it's not something I think about. And that's not saying, well, Jason's that good that he doesn't have to think of it. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's more of a comfort level of where your hands naturally want to go on the fretboard. I really want you guys to take this in, because this is important. Again, you can develop habits that aren't necessarily catered to you because someone said that's the right habit for you. Again, go with your intuition. You can follow along with what I'm doing, but always go with what feels more comfortable with you, to you rather. I can't stress that enough. Now let's go to the next part of this killer Iron Maiden-ish style lick slash riff. Here we go. So this is the next part. The cool thing about that part, It might look a little bit more complicated, but here's how I want to break this down. It's actually the same exact pattern that we just did. The only part that's different is that very last part. Remember, we went 3, 5, 3 at the end of the first round there. Well, this second time around, we're going to be going 12, 13, 12. That's the only difference. Now, the thing that might make this a little challenging is because we're kind of up here in this area of the fretboard here, and then we're going to go all the way down here. So again, this is kind of for you newbies that are just starting to play this style here. That might be a little challenging, but again, it just comes with practicing these patterns over and over until you nail it, and it feels like second nature. And then, of course, you start venturing off into other areas, which we're going to get to next. Okay, so let's play that. We'll kind of slow that down a little bit. Now the next part is actually the first part. We just go back to what we started with. Again, we repeat that pattern there, okay? So I'll play that all the way through those 3 parts together. And remember, part 1 and part 3, those are the same. Now let's end with the finale here, and actually the riff gets simplified here, and it really goes from more of a rhythm / lead into a true rhythm, because we're going to end with some power chords here. So let me play the riff all the way through and just pay attention, well, pay attention to all of it, but especially to the end part, and we'll break that down next, okay? Here we go. That's it, just 2 power chords. I was starting to think there's something before that, but nope, it's just the 2 power chords. We went through everything else. And I'm just playing an F power chord and an E flat power chord. Now I play those power chords on the D and the G strings, okay? So frets 3, 5, then 1, 3. You could play them on the A and the D strings down here. But since I'm already in this area of the fretboard, I don't like to overcomplicate things. I like to keep things, quite simple. That's reason number 1. I play them on the D and G strings. The other reason is because I like that higher pitch sound on those strings, because I'm playing, that part of the riff and the riff / lick that we're playing kind of has that more tinny sound, if that makes sense. So I want to keep that. And the third reason, which I just now thought about, is the rhythm guitars, and you hear the rhythms in the background there. And if you're a Patreon supporter, if you become one, you'll get the tracks with just the rhythm guitars and the bass and drums without the lead part there, so you can practice along with that. So if the main rhythm guitars are doing that, and I actually recorded 2 rhythms and hard pan each, you guys know how to do that, then I want the lead part ending on those higher power chords, if that makes sense, okay? So it just kind of gives that nice contrast, so all the guitars aren't playing the exact same thing. You've got a little contrast there. Now, how do we make this our own? How do we venture out on this? And this is what I want you to kind of play around with next, okay? So again, here are our core notes. what I would want you to do is just play kind of that pattern, but maybe add something else to it or change one of the notes. So let's just try something random here. Okay, pretty cool. All I did there was we kept the same nature of the pattern. We kept that foundation, but at the end there, I went over to that B string. What fret is that? The 8th fret. That sort of sounds like one of the Queensryche songs. I can't remember the name of it right off my head. Very, very similar to a song on the Operation Mindcrime album. But that's just one example. Let's try something else here, okay? Okay, so we kind of hung around that same area there, and we went up to playing that 2nd fret. We added that 2nd fret in there. We didn't play that 8th fret. So it just gave us a little bit different dynamic, a little bit different feel. And all three of those patterns, the original and the two others I played just now, they could all be, you know, 3 different songs. That could be like a really cool part between like the verse and chorus, or the chorus or the verse, whatever you want it to be, in 3 different songs if you wanted them to. And I think you could almost get away with that without it sounding too similar to each other. I know they're all similar, but I would encourage you to play around with those notes. Just find out what fits with that open G string. We're in that key again of G minor. Again, just play around with that. Just add some notes. There's no wrong or right here. Of course, unless you hit a note that doesn't sound good, well, hey, don't play that note again. Keep trying and play something else. You know, one thing I want to encourage you to, guys, before we end the video here is oftentimes we can get frustrated in playing guitar. You know, we'll start hitting notes. It just doesn't sound good. Don't give up, right? And don't try to rush it either. And hopefully this makes sense. But sometimes we're like, okay, well, I need to be at that certain level right now. I remember talking to a person years and years ago. He called us the microwave generation. And this is my younger generation, right? When I was in my early 20s. And, you know, and I got it. It's like, yeah, we want to put the potato in the microwave for just a few minutes. We don't want to heat it up in the oven. You heat it up in the oven, it tastes much better. It cooks better. Throw it in the microwave, yeah, it's done quick, but it's just not as good. So take your time. Be consistent, right? You have to have consistency. Don't give up. Be consistent in your practice and your playing, but also be patient, okay? You have to be patient and give this time. We learn at different levels. You know, some of us learn faster than others. Some of us learn specific techniques faster than others. Some of us are a little bit slower at learning specific techniques than others. Don't worry about how fast someone else is learning. You know, just go with your own flow there. But again, don't use that as an excuse to not be consistent. If you're running out of patience but you're not being consistent, then guys, you have no argument there. You're just not passionate enough about the craft, about the guitar. You have to play a lot. You have to be consistent. So I just kind of wanted to share those encouraging yet, you know, kind of, I guess, tough love words there with you. I mean, I say that to myself too, you know, like I'm trying to get better at my vocals right now. My voice is kind of shot because I've been singing for like 4 days, almost 5 days in a row at gigs and such, so I need to give it a rest. But, you know, that's one thing I'm trying. I say that to relate to you guys. You guys want to get better at guitar, and I want to get better at certain things as well. But vocals is my big thing right now that I'm really trying to go to that next level, trying to push myself a a little bit. It's a lot of fun. But you have to be consistent. I have to be consistent in doing vocal exercises, and maybe I'll cover some of that if you guys want to, if you guys would like for me to cover some more vocal type stuff. But guys, one last thing, if you don't have my free metal riffs and licks practice guide, there is a link in the description. I've also got some guitar courses out there, all the links to that good stuff, along with my music. I've got music out there on iTunes and YouTube Music and Amazon, Spotify, all those good places. Link to my shop, all those links, and they're just ways you can support what I do and my music, and I truly appreciate that. But all those links are in the description of this video. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Remember, if you're a Patreon supporter, links are there in the YouTube description as well, but you have the tabs and the backing tracks for this lesson here, so make sure you get those and practice to those tracks there. Guys, thank you so much for all the support. I appreciate all of you. Until the next video, you know what to do. Keep it metal.